I have very fond memories of watching Star Trek Voyager and Deep Space Nine with my family when I was growing up. This was back in the day when there was no DVR, there was no streaming service. You watched the show on a particular day of the week at a particular time, and you ran to the bathroom during the commercial breaks. It was great. So you can imagine my surprise and excitement when a new game was announced a couple of months ago called Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. And it was marketed as a game very similar in style to FTL, except you would be taking control of the starship Voyager as she is trapped within the Delta Quadrant in unknown space. And you will have to chart your own course and deal with unknown threats on your journey home. Very interesting premise. Well, the good news is the game just released a demo a few days ago, so we're going to try that out on the channel today. I'm going to show you how this game works, and if this is something you might want to wishlist in the future, that is certainly something you can do, and I'll have a link in the description down below. So let's go ahead and start up a new game. Now, of course, this is a demo. Expect things to be subject to change, and also for the demo to be a little bit rough around the edges. Case in point, we're going to have this introductory cinematic here, and the audio is pretty low. There's no voiceover, which really doesn't draw you into the world right off the bat, which I find very, well, disappointing, because I'm pretty sure that from the text, this is literally word for word from the pilot episode of Star Trek Voyager, which is pretty cool, so I want to hear some people talking. Anyway, this takes us into the bridge where we can meet Captain Catherine Janeway. Oh, I've got some opinions about her. Look, when I was a kid, I thought she was actually a really cool captain. I liked her a lot, but I tried rewatching Star Trek Voyager again as an adult, and I'll tell you, some of the decisions she makes, man, they are questionable at best. I kind of question her a little bit more, but she's still a pretty cool character and she's well acted. I like her largely. Anyway, so she's gonna be one of our main characters throughout this experience. I assume she's gonna be in charge the entire way. Maybe that can change at some point with the events. This is gonna be Ensign Harry Kim. Everyone does like Harry, and this, of course, is Tom Paris, our rogue pilot, formerly a member of the Maquis. Who are the Maquis? Well, if you don't know that, it means you never watched Star Trek Voyager. They are a terrorist organization that the Federation is keeping tabs on, and Voyager is currently tracking and has an undercover agent with them. And we are currently traversing into the Badlands, trying to find their ship. And these are the Badlands. Why would anyone go here? Beyond me. So we can't seem to find their ship at all. Oh no, we have a giant displacement beam on its way, a giant energy signature that we can't seem to escape. Oh god, in only a few seconds, it's gonna hit the ship. What's gonna happen? Boom. Well, the ship has seen better days. Damage report. It's all gone to crap, Captain. We're all gonna die, Captain. Losing power. The doctor's office is not responding. We have no mapping. What do we do? Well, this takes us to something I was really not expecting in Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, and that is the ability to customize and build out the internals of your ship. Because, like, look at this. There are a lot of rooms across a lot of star decks that we can repair and build with our own choice of rooms. We'll start with the stellar cartography, obviously, because I need some mapping. We'll just turn that on right now. But I think that's kind of interesting. Anyway, sensors are online, but we found we are not in the Badlands anymore. We are instead in the middle of frickin' nowhere next to this giant alien array. And when I say middle of nowhere, I'm not kidding. We appear to have jumped 70,000 light years into the Delta Quadrant. And if you don't know what the Delta Quadrant is from the Star Trek lore, the galaxy is divided up into 4 big sections, and the Delta Quadrant is not where the Federation is. Let's say that. Anyway, with life support failing, we're gonna have to go look for a quick power source. Now, I will say I've loaded up this demo a few times. These star systems always appear to be somewhat randomized, which is interesting, though since this is a demo, there are certain features we can expect to always be consistent. There's a lot of different points of interest in this area here. What we can do is click on a world and scan it, or better yet, just hold down your right mouse button, and then you'll be able to find something on it. We found deuterium in this case, which is the main power source for our warp engine, and that's exactly what we need. So let's go ahead and set a course and find some fuel to get our life support back online. Now, sometimes you're going to have little interactions here where you could go for an easy choice and get, in this case, 365 deuterium, or we could go for something that's a little bit random and try for a bit more using our tractor beam. Let's go ahead and do it. It's a random number generator, and of course we got a bad result. Of course I did. I don't think in all my attempts doing this demo I have ever gotten the good result, So I'm going to say that's either really bad luck or it's scripted that you're going to fail. But either way, we got only 197 as a result. I need more. Let's go ahead and keep scanning. Now, I think this is something that's going to get a little bit annoying when you enter a new star system, because as far as I can tell, there is no downside to scanning everything, like no resource cost. So it kind of feels like the first thing you'll do when you hit a new star system is just click, 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 and that's kind of annoying. I'd rather have like a button I can just click and just like scan everything, or have some sort of a restriction where I have to pick and choose, just to feel like my choice actually matters instead of being tedious. Anyway, we'll travel over here. We're going to grab some more deuterium. I cannot get into the storage because I don't have any torpedoes, so we'll just grab what I can here. Please don't fail again. There we go. All right, that's enough to at least complete our quest. So now we can deactivate gray mode. We're going to go to our warp core over here, click on main engineering, and turn this on. Though I will point out, there are many tiers of power, apparently, so we're going to have opportunities for a lot of upgrades on this ship. A lot. And that could be pretty cool. Now, as for the array, let's go ahead and scan for life signs. We find a whole bunch of life forms on board. Is one of them a Vulcan? That is my plant within the Maquis. Not sure, the signal is weak. All right, we're going to have to find out for ourselves and use the teleporter room. I need to actually build that. For that, I need another resource. Duranium, which fortunately is right next to me. Now, one thing I will point out, you'll notice as we want to travel, it says so many cycles away. This is effectively like days or turns. And every day or cycle, we are going to be losing some resources. In this case, we'll spend some deuterium, our fuel, every time we travel. So you have to pick and choose a little bit, just so you're not being very wasteful with your fuel. Let's go ahead and search over here in the abandoned mining station. We do find some duranium. Perfect. So now we're going to go over to this damaged room here with engineering and the transporter room. I'm going to repair it. This is instantaneous this time, but most of the time if we want to build out or repair a room, it's going to take a few cycles to accomplish. Anyway, this is now online, which means we're going to head back to the array and try to get some answers. Gosh dang it. I want to know how the heck we ended up over here. This will lead us to our first away mission, a classic staple of all things Star Trek, and also one of the things that makes the absolute least sense in Star Trek, in my opinion. I mean, you've got a crew full of people. Well, surely we don't need to send our most valuable bridge officers on dangerous missions, but I guess we have a limited cast and they need more screen time, so that's just how it's gonna be. Anyway, what you'll notice is that we have challenges that we can foresee in this away mission with various different skill sets required, and every one of your bridge officers is going to have a different skill and a level to it. So we want to be bringing along a complement of skills that's going to meet any of these challenges. In this case, we only have two options, but you get the idea. And this leads to a bunch of little scripted events and encounters. Now, in this case, for example, we could use Tom Paris to do this little interaction here, 29 versus 25. A chance of failure, but odds are pretty good we could look for any footprints. Or we could do something else with Harry Kim over here, a little bit more likely to succeed. Let's give that one a go. Now, we're going to have that same bar going back and forth for the RNG calculator. This also will get a little bit annoying because there's a lot of these, and it kind of takes you out of the action. It's just kind of another little thing to delay you. But that leads to a bit more script, and we're going to find that there's an old man on a porch of a nearby farmhouse in this eerily similar to Earth cornfield, which makes no sense in the Delta Quadrant. Well, he seems harmless enough. Now we have another set of events. We could use Harry Kim again, but notice that he is fatigued. If you used your bridge officer in the previous interaction, he is going to have a penalty to his skills. So ideally, you don't want to use the same bridge officer multiple times. Instead, we're going to go ahead and use Tom Paris on a very likely to succeed action. I have had a demo where this fails, by the way, so don't expect it to just be guaranteed scripted. Oh my god, it happened again! Yeah, my luck, man. I rolled a really bad luck stat when I was born on my character sheet, so this does not surprise me even a little bit. Anyway, he seems like a genuinely nice guy. Fortunately, there's no real consequences here. Now we have another event. We could actually stack up both of our characters for this event to really get some sort of an extra benefit, which could be nice, but I'm going to save him for a future interaction. Let's just go ahead and use Harry Kim again, try to analyze some energy readings. And that's going to get us, interesting, a barn, which is an illusion. And if we look inside, we see that there's a bunch of unconscious people. Well, 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 a whole bunch of unconscious humans or other species throughout a barn. Something's going on here. So who do we want to wake up? Do we want to wake up the tattooed man, or do we want to wake up the half Klingon woman? I'm gonna go for the Tattooed Man, which of course did succeed. We did not get the extra rewards, even though we were likely to do so. Okay, that's annoying. Characters did level up, which I think will make them better in their respective skills, but I don't know that for sure. I haven't had a chance to check. Tom Paris has returned. Harry Kim apparently has not. That's weird. Anyway, the Maquis are hailing us. Oh, look, it's Chakotay. This is another main character from Star Trek Voyager. He's gonna beam over to our ship with a couple of his own crew members, including somebody else, our mole, our Vulcan, Tuvok. Everyone likes Tuvok. He's a cool Vulcan. So we need to get our people back, but we have a lot of other things that are still broken. Let's go ahead and prioritize boosting up our life support systems. So we need to fix up this star deck right here. We're gonna turn this on. Now, for every star deck that we have active, we're gonna be draining up our power. Now, right now, this is fine. I'm not worried about it. But obviously, if we overconsume, we either would have to get more energy out of the warp core, which is less efficient with our deuterium, or we're gonna have to turn a few things off. Let's try to get our engineering office repaired, so we'll have some repair crews. This is going to take us 2 cycles to do. And in the meantime, Tuvok says it would be logical to gather more resources while we wait. I happen to agree, so we're going to go to all these worlds and just scavenge, scavenge, scavenge. That got repaired, by the way, so we have another repair crew active. Let's go ahead and turn on life support on deck 2 and try to get the mess hall repaired so we can feed our crew. And we can also start clearing out some ruined rooms, which is great because I need to make space to build more stuff. There we go. Mess hall is ready. We can get off of our emergency rations, which is currently draining away morale. That is another resource we can see up over here, which is currently draining. Work efficiency goes up the higher morale is on the crew, so we really don't want this to go down. It would be better to go ahead and swap over to our replicator, which is going to consume a lot more power and thus a lot more deuterium, but at least people are going to be happy. We've also got a bunch of homeless crew members who are currently just sleeping on the floor. That ain't gonna work for very long, so maybe we should clear out more rooms. And when you open up some space like this, we can just say we want to go ahead and build out something for the crew. I want to build out some emergency quarters. They're not good, but they're certainly better than what we have right now, which is nothing. And hold on, we are getting a call from the caretaker. Now, who could this figure be, I wonder? It's a weird little energy jellyfish blob thing. He's telling us that our people are no longer on the array, so we're just gonna have to abandon them, which obviously is not something we're really eager to do. So you can see here there's gonna be multiple choice options, presumably based on the different skills of Catherine Janeway herself, trying to increase the odds of something good happening. I'm gonna scan the array real quick and just look for our people. No sign of them. Okay. Do I try to intimidate, appeal to his humanity? He's a jellyfish. I don't see that working. We could also just let Chakotay talk. You know what? I'll just give it a shot. Chakotay, what do you think? Return our crew or you'll find out what the Maquis are capable of. I could have threatened him. Oh, it worked. What do you know? But he doesn't have time for this, he says. There's just not enough time. Time for what? To ensure their survival. Who? We'll have to find out. And he cut us off. Okay, that's rude. Well, Tuvok has observed the array is sending energy pulses toward the 5th planet of a neighboring star system, so that seems like the logical place to investigate. Now, we could continue exploring over here, which is tempting, and I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more fuel just to top things off here. But what we can do now is actually leave this star system and go on to the next one. We can always come back, so I actually don't feel like I have to go over here. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the star sector, and we're going to move to this system 4 cycles away. So let's activate our warp, and off we go. Now, does this feel familiar to any of you guys, this sort of style of gameplay? To me, at least, this reminds me a lot of Ixion. I'm unsure if that is the intention, but it does kind of give those vibes to me. Anyway, let's just go ahead and do the tedious scanning that I was talking about. You can see why I would find this to be a smidge annoying. And I need to go to this world, Okampa. So we'll just approach the planet. Now, I will say, like, it does feel really cool seeing the ship fly around. Like, Star Trek really does bring a ton of nostalgia for me, like an absolute ton. There's a reason I liked playing things like Star Trek Online. Even though it's not, strictly speaking, the best MMO, it's just fun to fly around and shoot things. I like it. It's great. Anyway, following those energy pulses, we've arrived at a desert planet, and of course we're going to prepare an away team, as we do. But a ship is approaching us. Now, who could this be? Well, it's Neelix, a local resident of the Delta Quadrant. First contact with a new race. How exciting. Now this is interesting though. He says, let me guess, you were whisked away from somewhere else in the galaxy and brought here against your will. Huh. A recurring story in this area, maybe. The caretaker has been bringing ships here for months now, from all over the galaxy. Now, he's offering to be a guide for us down on Okampa, but we're gonna have to help him out. Food and water, you know, stuff that people need. Neelix currently isn't ready for us, though, so we're just gonna go ahead and look around and continue building out the ship. There is something new over here. That's gonna be some science. I'll go ahead and grab that, even though, strictly speaking, we don't have an immediate use for it. Neelix is telling us he knows some people down on the planet, the Kazon Ogla, led by Maje Jabin, or however you say that. It's been a few years, I don't remember. Let's send our away team, with Neelix included, of course, and then let's see, what else do we need? Well, it looks like there's a lot of combat opportunities. Tuvok as our security officer could make some sense. That covers all of our bases, so maybe Chakotay. Sure, looks good to me. Hey, I didn't bring Tom Paris. What is this nonsense? That's not Chakotay. Fortunately, Chakotay is a survivalist, apparently, so we can just go ahead and orient ourselves and get a lot of free deuterium. I didn't bring an innovator, so I can't build a good shelter to withstand a storm, so I'm gonna try to analyze the area and find some cover. Hopefully it actually works. It did, okay. And now that we've reached the settlement, how do we want to approach this? Well, this is kind of why we brought Neelix, so I'm gonna let him do the introductions, which gets me some morale. Looks like the Kazon don't like Neelix nearly as much as he told us. Uh-oh. We could offer them some water, but Neelix is fatigued, so that's not a great option. We could use him plus Chakotay to show we have no bad intentions, or we could just do a show of force. I'll do both of these guys together. Even though Neelix is fatigued, we can still use him. It's just his stats go down even further. So if you don't think you're gonna need him for the next objective, not a big deal. Things are getting out of hand. Lovely. Well, I'll use phaser fire to retreat and get some extra resources. That seems needlessly aggressive when I can just beam out of there, but okay. Oh, what's this? We recruited someone. Kess, who Neelix kisses passionately. I feel like maybe we've been used. Yep, he orchestrated this whole thing so that we would rescue Kess for him, because he's desperate. Great. But, you know, they're very nice, and Neelix is a good cook and all that, so, I guess they want to hang around and repay us. So next we have to repair our science laboratory, which sounds great. I would like to be able to start doing some science and upgradey things. So this is going to lead us to something new. We can analyze a transporter signer amplifier. I should also consider repairing our sickbay. There we go. Finished researching the amplifier. We now have a new blueprint, which we can only build if I have a workshop. So that's another thing I have to do. And while we wait, there's no reason we can't make use of our science laboratory to start researching some technology. So we got a few different categories here: engineering, crew, science, combat, and Borg. Now that excites me, personally. Getting a lot of Borg upgrades would be pretty sick. But anyway, we have most things that we care about already researched, and there's going to be various different tiers of technology so we can progress down the tree. Suppose that I wanted to get some hull reinforcement, for example. 12 cycles, it'll cost us 30 science. Sure, okay, we'll begin research. Sickbay is also active. Excellent. But of course, our doctor's non-responsive and or dead. Pretty sure he's dead. So we're going to initiate the Emergency Medical Holographic Program, which gives us arguably my favorite character of the show. I love the Doctor. He's awesome. Please state the nature of the medical emergency. Oh god, this brings back memories. Yeah, my nostalgia is definitely going in full swing right now. So credit where it's due. The game is activating that accurately. Thank you very much. Now, something you should be aware of. In some of these different rooms, we can actually assign our bridge crew to have secondary duties and boost up our performance in some way. So now that we have the Doctor, let's actually go to the sickbay, and I can go to Heroes right here and say, hey, let's go ahead and add the Doctor here, which would get me a 53% room efficiency bonus because he's very, very good at medicine. I might do something similar over here in the science laboratory. Who could be good at science? Not really Kess. I guess Tuvok? No, I don't want to use Tuvok for that. Fine, I'll assign Kess over here. Kess was not my favorite character. I don't think very highly of her. Anyway, there's my workshop. We can now build that amplifier. Let's do it. Got it. We have our signal amplifier. Time to go back to Okampa, which means we have to send another away team, but this time we bring Kess along. Why? Because we have to. I have some engineering tasks, so Tom Paris really has to come with us this time. And then as far as combat and diplomatic stuff, Honestly, Tuvok or Chakotay have a lot of overlap. I'm thinking maybe we'll take Chakotay. The Kazon are already here. They say the weirdos are back. That's great. I'm going to ignore the Kazon and head straight to the tunnel entrance, so I only have to exhaust Chakotay and I can use my other characters. Although, good lord, their skills are terrible for what we have to do. This may not work. All right, Kess, impress me. Don't let me down. Yeah, let me down. You always do. Anyway, we're now inside the Ocampa City, but it's a maze of streets and chambers. Well, I mean, like, Kess should be able to lead the search. Yeah, she's fatigued, but, like, this is her city. She still failed. Are you serious? Okay. Apparently the caretaker doesn't like that we found this city. He's now firing on this location. We need to get the heck out of Dodge. We were able to transport out. We did fail 2 of the 5 objectives, so that kind of sucks, but okay. But it doesn't matter. We found our people and we were able to get out of there. We got our tags. There's Harry Kim and also Belana Torres. She's an interesting character. Half Klingon. Partly human, partly Klingon. Do they know why they were sent to Ocampa? Well, apparently the caretaker said that they were there to prevent some kind of a plague. We're not the first ones to have been sent there, by the way. It's just all the other species also died. So, that bodes poorly. Some sort of foreign genetic material was introduced to them, which sounds extremely creepy. They're gonna make a full recovery, but it's a good thing we caught them when we did. So here is Tuvok's suspicion, and when Tuvok has a hypothesis, he's usually right because he's just the most logical. The caretaker provides for the Ocampa, but he stays on the array and sends all the provisions through energy pulses, which have increased in frequency, and now he's destroyed the access tunnels, and he's running out of time. Why is he urgent? Well, probably because he's not going to be the caretaker for much longer. And the reason he introduced a foreign genetic material is to try to find somebody else who can effectively take over his role, which apparently has some sort of a genetic component. Quite possibly, the caretaker is dying and needs a successor. But if he dies, how am I going to get out of the Delta Quadrant? That's the real question. We may have to go in guns blazing, which means it's time to start repairing all of our weapons equipment. Let's start with the shields. Look, y'all thought that this was going to be a Star Trek game without any combat? I mean, that was never going to happen. And that's fine with me. Who wouldn't want to have combat? Star Trek combat is fun. So there's our shield generator. We could put somebody in charge here. Maybe we put Chakotay in charge to get a bit more room efficiency there so we can regenerate our shields faster, cycle those frequencies. Or whatever techno lingo the Star Trek people want to use to make themselves feel smart. Actually, it's funny, a lot of Star Trek science is attempting, at least, to be based on real science. But I don't know, I'm just a little engineer. Particle physics and whatever didn't quite make it into my course curriculum. Torpedo bay is online, by the way, so there we go. Plus, I built a cargo bay just so I can store more materials and not waste anything as I just run around and explore. Why sit around if it takes the same amount of power? Ah, phasers. That's what I like to see. Let's go to the control room, and we're going to assign Tuvok here for a very high fire rate. Time to return to this sector and get that array under our control. I got some words for the caretaker over here. I don't like what he did to me, or more accurately, what he did to my people. Let's go pay him a visit. Now, is this going to be an away team mission? No, it's not. See, the Kazons seem to be a little bit agitated, and they have arrived at the array as well. In fact, they are staking their own claim. Look, I don't really have any beef with you guys. I just want to go home. So if you'll let us go to the array, we can work this out. We'll get out of your hair. And he's like, no, we don't fear you. It's like, the array's ours. Get out. And it's like, good God, no, I'm not leaving. You don't understand. We're 70,000 light years from home. This is our only opportunity. We're backed into a corner, and he cut off communications. Gosh, why is everyone in the galaxy so rude? So battle stations, everybody. We're going into combats. We have Voyager, and we have a Maquis Raider versus a Kazon carrier and 2 support vessels. I can select a few heroes that can assist us because each of our bridge crew have special abilities that can be activated during combat. I want to take Tuvok for sure. Evasive maneuvers with Tom Paris makes sense. And maybe a shield hack with Harry Kim. Could auto-resolve as well, but like, who wants to do that? Let's go ahead and start combat. Now, this does appear to be a pretty much autonomous process, which I think is a little bit disappointing. I wouldn't have minded controlling this myself. Let's go ahead and issue a few orders. I want to go on the offense and target the carrier. Specifically, I'd like to target their shields and knock those down. Now, in typical Star Trek fashion, every ship does have shields, but they tend to be broken up into 4 quadrants around the ship, and if you burn through all of one, That's going to open up the hull to a lot of damage. Very good opportunity to attack with some torpedoes. The reason I would like to have a bit more direct control with this is because it kind of feels like if I'm going to be targeting one specific side to burn down their shields, I want to control some of the maneuvers myself, but I guess that's not how it's going to work. Anyway, we're going to wait for a couple of seconds until we can get a little bit better here with my coordinated attacks. Now we're going to go ahead and do a bit of shield penetration here with Harry Kim. So that's a thing. Then a coordinated attack to double up our phaser damage. Burn through those front shields. Burn through them, I say. Just about burn through his frontal shields. He's turning toward me, which seems to be a foolish maneuver. If the shields are down, we're going to launch a torpedo. Boom! Oh, that does some damage. He surrendered. You fool. All right, now we just got to go deal with the support ships. Again, we're just kind of moving over toward them. Like, there is a whole 3D space mechanic. I just have zero control over it. I can use evasive maneuvers, which is totally pointless, and also makes me think that Tom Paris is just going for a joyride. This guy's got absolutely no chill. Holy crud, what an irresponsible pilot. Anyway, we win. Cool. I took a tiny bit of hull damage. Not much. Not a big deal. Oh, the Kazon have called for reinforcements. Well, I don't have a lot of time. Come on. Caretaker's like, well, aren't you the persistent one? Send us back where we came from. I can't. I don't have enough strength to complete my work and protect the Ocampo, or the Kazon will steal their water and they'll all die. Now we have some choices. We can say, let go of the Ocampo or send us home. I'll say, please send us home for God's sake. You dragged us into this. We could try to force the array to transport us back to the Alpha Quadrant. Although if we do that, the Ocampo will almost certainly die. We must destroy the array, according to the Caretaker, so that the Kazon can't get to them. B'Elanna's like, no, we'll be stranded in the Delta Quadrant. Terrible plan. And he fades away into a little dead energy jellyfish thing. Okay, well, so then there's the question. Do we try to get back to the Alpha Quadrant and leave the Ocampo defenseless? Or do we sacrifice Voyager's return to ensure their safety? What choice do I want to make? Now, in the show, after a very brief but grueling moment, Catherine Janeway decides the most ethical thing to do is to destroy the array and doom her own crew. But here's the thing. I've read the Prime Directive. We're not supposed to interfere in other life forms. So I say, no. If that happens, it happens, and it ain't our problem. Access the primary control systems. My responsibility is to the crew. Yes, Janeway. Yes, you're making good choices now. Chakotay says to hell with the Prime Directive. To hell with you. 60% chance of success. Follow through. Does it work? It does. Wait, really? Hold on. I've done this demo like 3 times, and it never worked. I thought it was scripted that I was always going to fail. Hold on, what happens now? Engage? Okay, Janeway makes the call. Voyager will return home. A blinding white light engulfs the ship. Uncertainty hangs in the air. Will it work? We have indeed returned to the Alpha Quadrant. And, we're okay. All right. Of course, now, we have Maquis members on board our ship. And we're not friends anymore, and they're terrorists, so this is a bit of a problem. Well, I'm not apologizing for putting my crew first, okay? This seemed like the right thing to do. Are we gonna arrest the Maquis? Yeah, we're gonna arrest the Maquis. They're still terrorists. Starfleet will always be Starfleet. Yeah, we fought side by side. Barely. I didn't need your help. Captain, with all due respect, this isn't right. They helped us get home. Shut up, Harry. You are not allowed to disagree with the captain. You are an ensign. Tuvok agrees. It was logical. So, adventure to an end. I've already completely changed the course of Star Trek Voyager. In fact, I'm pretty sure you can roll credits. That's 2 episodes, different ending, show gone, every season deleted. But of course, obviously, what you're supposed to do is stay in the Delta Quadrant. So, like, this would be the end of your game, and you'd be like, are you serious? No, start over, do it right, stay in the Delta Quadrant, and actually experience what's going to be there. So overall, that's the end of the demo, and it really does follow the events of the first 2 episodes pretty perfectly. Here's the thing, though. This game, its entire purpose, its entire draw to me, is that it's going to be a unique and unknown experience, something we've never seen before in the show. I'm really hoping, and I am assuming, that after the events of the first 2 episodes from here on out, it breaks from the show entirely, or maybe just has like a few moments that come back. Like, everyone wants 7 of 9. We all agree with that. But for the most part, I want it to be a totally randomized experience. Very FTL, but a long, grueling campaign where I have to make difficult decisions in order to get my ship back home. From the demo, I didn't exactly get that, but this was a more curated experience. but that's sort of to be expected, and I get the gist of how this game is supposed to work. So I'm interested. I really hope they're able to execute on this and deliver, and I hope it ends up being really fun. It certainly got my attention, maybe it's got yours as well, and if so, then go ahead and wishlist the game. Not a sponsor, I just like pointing cool games in your direction. I look forward to seeing more soon. If you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative, then of course hit that like button, leave a comment showing your support, subscribe for future content, and I will see you guys next time.